feminism is not always going to be a necessary force in the world. Like, there will be a point where feminism is not needed because women will have equal rights to men.
Do we not have equal rights now?
Well, not in all parts of the world, but...
What about in the United States?
In the United States, I would say it's fairly
Texas.
equal. The only thing that I would...
Wait, hold on. What's going on in Texas?
I don't know, all the controversy that's just happened in Texas with
What
Women's
everybody
rights.
knows.
Women's rights.
I don't.
With women's
I don't know.
rights.
What women's rights?
They're now denying like medical abortions for women, from what I understand. Like even if it poses a risk to the woman's health,
They basically have to be
Are they?
dying.
they literally have to.
They have
be
to be
dying
dying in order to get help.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's assume that they did allow abortion under those circumstances. Would you still feel that there is an abridgment of women's rights if all other abortions were outlawed? Or is it only the only abortions you care about are the ones where the woman's life is at risk?
Oh wait, hold up. Just repeat that one more time.
Well, you guys are citing to an extreme example here that women, even women.
Well, that's just an example that's happening, right? You asked for an example.
Okay.
Like that's an example
But
right
so
now.
you're
women's
fine.
rights
So
are-
just so I understand, are you saying you're fine with abortion being banned, but it should be allowed in the scenario where women, their lives are at risk?
I just think women should be able to have control over their own health and their bodies. Like,
So you support abortion.
So you're pro-choice
Yeah.
regardless.
yeah, just I'm pro-choice.
Okay. What does that have to do with women's like equality?
Because right now, women literally have to be dying
But
to
when it
get
comes
proper
when it comes to
healthcare.
feminism and equality, the viewpoint, the standpoint is in comparison to men. In comparison to men have no reproductive rights at all. It's not clear to me if abortion rights have anything to do with inequality, insofar as men have no option at all when it comes to reproductive rights. So
Because you
it's not
don't
evidence.
have the
It's not
children.
because
It's not
men
your body, so
can't.
it's not your medical.
Right, but if men
deal with.
don't have any sort of say at all, wouldn't equality actually be for abortion to be entirely illegal? Wouldn't that be equality?
I don't know if it...
It's not even something that you can compare because men
But
don't carry
right,
children.
but if you're,
So
if
this
we're
is
having,
such a redundant
situation.
conversation.
it's not redundant
But it's
because
just
if
like
we're
we
having a
label it as
conversation,
health and like men don't have to have kids. So like if a woman is on the verge of
Well,
dying and that's the
I
only
think
way that
that's
she can
more
get
of a
proper
human-
health care, it's like health. It's like health care.
right? But it's
like,
not about. It's not about. It's not coming from a viewpoint of equal. Like men have this right and women don't.
It's
Like you
more
can't
of a
compare
human rights
that
issue.
to a male's right because a male can't carry a baby, so you can't even compare the two
Well,
things.
It's mainly...
A man has the choice on whether or not he wants to get the snip, right?
Or if he wants to nut.
So does a woman.
Right. But
Do you want to nut in there? Like, that's you.
that's
That's
the caveat.
You're basically, when it comes to men, you're basically a bronze age pro-lifer.
Oh.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Is consenting to sex as a man consenting to fatherhood?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. As a woman, is
necessarily,
consenting to sex consenting to motherhood?
Yes.
not to me. It's not.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Would you ever tell a woman who was inclined to get an abortion and if she didn't want a child, would you... Okay, let me walk it back a little bit. What would you tell a man who got a girl pregnant and he didn't want to get a girl pregnant? What would you tell him if she wanted to keep the kid and he didn't?
Tell her.
Well, I would say that just be the best father that you can, and because it is.
What if he's upset
ultimately, like,
about this reality that he's about to face?
He has an
That
option
he's
to
gonna
sign
be a
his rights
father?
away.
No, he
can
doesn't.
sign
Not
his
without-
rights away
No,
to
he
your
doesn't.
brother. It's a thing.
Okay, hold on.
They don't tend to do it very often because
Okay,
they
but
think in
would
the
you
future
tell him
maybe
something?
I might want to have a
would you
relationship.
tell him something along the lines of, "Tough, you should have thought of that before having sex with her. Your option
Kinda
would
blunt
have
sometimes, so
your-
maybe it depends on the relationship.
your
I
option."
mean, some people that get pregnant to some of the men, I'm like, why would you even sleep with that guy? I mean, you consented to sleeping
You just
with
shouldn't have a double standard.
someone.
If you're going to be
I see what you're
pro-choice,
saying.
and then you
But-
can't tell men you shouldn't have had sex if you knew what it could lead to, if you wouldn't say the same thing to women.
I'm not
to
going to
women. That's the whole
victim
point.
blame.
But it's
situation.
you're literally
just think that's-
like that's
that
the
was
same
one of the
thing that
reasons,
pro-lifers
like health.
say to women. Oh, you should have kept your legs closed.
Mm-hmm. Not that I agree to that, but I think
Okay.
that's a horrible thing to say. But I mean,
Okay.
Can we
there's
all
kind
agree
of
that that's a double
difference,
standard?
though, like,
Yeah, I mean,
definitely
there's-
double standard,
there's
but
always
what I
a
said is
risk
nutting
associated.
inside. That's different because there's options like condoms, oral, anal, pulling out. Like,
Cool.
you came in there, you can still have sex without impregnating someone.
Birth control.
Right, but let's say that like the woman lies about.
control, I mean,
let's say
yeah.
the woman lies about being on birth control or lies about her fertility.
Well, then
Or
that
let's say
is
she's
a bad situation.
Let's
That's a
even
bitch.
say
Situation.
let's even say she is on birth control, but a pregnancy still happens, or you did take precautions, but you know sometimes it can happen.
In that case, I feel like he don't need to worry because the mom is probably feeling the same way. Like, ooh, this was an accident.
Well, what if
and-
she keeps the kid and he didn't want a kid?
I mean, you have to consider the reasons for why people of like biological age do not want children, and it's because of social circumstances and financial circumstances most of the time. They're not ready,
Or they
because
can't have them.
They can't. Well, I mean, yeah, that's more of like a.
Okay, but that's a side
So wait,
tangent.
what's your argument?
My argument is that essentially, when you're, sorry, I got interrupted, so I can't remember. Go on. It's like, why do you not want to have a kid? It's for certain reasons. So you shouldn't be having sex if you're not ready to have a kid and you're not willing to take the precautions to.
I don't
prevent
even know what you're
yourself
trying.
from
I
having a
don't
kid.
even know what you're trying to say. Look, ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that this conversation about abortion being like some inequality that women face, it has nothing to do with equality or inequality. Men don't have any reproductive rights. So if we're talking about this from the lens of equality, the actual equality would be for abortion to be outright banned in the United States.
Yeah, it's a human rights issue. It's not a.
Well, it's within the purview of women's rights, but it's not from like a comparison point of view in terms of the framework is not about equality.
No.
Well,
I mean, I
But
think
it's
it
not
is. It just
women
comes down to
women
health.
not having the
Equality
right
is
to
not always possible. and
women
that
not having the
there's-
right to have an abortion in Texas is not evidence of inequality. That's what I'm trying to argue.
I didn't argue
It's
that.
I don't know. Somebody was I
For
don't
me,
know.
for me, it's like a health thing. If a man wants to go into a
Their
hospital,
Round Me Paul
and,
donated $200. It's the Dave Chappell joke. If they can decide to have a kid, you should be able to abandon them. But
Yep.
generally don't expose yourself to downside risk you aren't willing to experience.
Well put, Mr. Meatball. If women are allowed to murder the kid, the man should at least be able to abandon
And yes, they
them.
And walk away. Absolutely.
That would be equal.
But that
I mean,
would
yeah.
be equal. Fortunately, that's not an option in any state
have that right.
whatsoever.
That's not true.
Hmm?
What about sperm donors?
What?
Women who are looking to have children.
Yeah, that's not really super related, though. Maddie, can you read this chat?
Why do women consent to sex but not consent to the possibility of life? Sex leads to procreation. That's simply biology. Newly right-wing girl. I love your content, Brian. It's changed my life. Thank you.